Okay, people. So basically, we're, what do you call it? In War Room 1. You can see what I'm doing here, right? We're going down memory lane here, people. This is what's happening. Remember those good old days? Oh, man, people. What was I thinking? I'm going back to school. Only one on there. Lots of pages. So you pick up where you left off. That's what you do. Alright. I can't have the light on, because if I have the light on, I won't be able to see the paper after I turn off the light. And I won't be able to see the paper when, what do you call it? What was I thinking? Taking notes. I can backtrack and make a section for Shimei. Some of this stuff in here would apply to Shimei in terms of provincial legislation, right? Community Care and Assisted Living Act. That would be Sierra. To do with Uncle John. Okay. Pharmacare Act. Oh, isn't that name so familiar? Where is it? There it is. Representatives, employees, whether union or contracted out as a collective unit or interest group, just as Judy represents Mr. Duncan's immediate family as a collective unit or interest group. One does not outweigh the other. Duty of care to the patient, which includes spiritual and emotional health. Community Living Act, nurse practitioners and their mandates. And then, oh well, look at that. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, there's that. This is a little reference to Sierra. Anyway. And then, for whatever reason, I've got this here. You see that? That was for 2016. And then, what else we got up here? We've got, let's see. I was audited a couple of times. 3 to be exact. And it started on March 3rd of 2010 when I moved into this house. I moved into this house in December of 2009. It was December 15th. And by March 3rd of 2010, I was being audited by the BC Liberal government. Our records indicate that you are currently receiving assistance, therefore the BC Employment and Assistance Program. Through under Section 10 of the Employment and Assistance Act and the Employment and Assistance for Persons with Disabilities Act. Okay, sorry. Information may be requested from a person for the purpose of determining their current eligibility or auditing their past eligibility for assistance, or auditing their past eligibility for assistance. Your file has been selected for review for this purpose. They told me it was just random. I said, okay. Now, keep in mind, people, what do you call it? I had Auntie Joan with me with her severe health issues, right? Looking after Uncle John. I had the kids. Andre was born in September. Sierra wasn't quite, like, she was pregnant by this time, but, you know. So I was dealing with Sierra, and Joan and John and Shimei, Tisha, Marcane. And this is what they wanted in terms of all their information, which was a lot. And then, of course, I discovered my yard and started pulling out 50 bags of Morning Glory that year as I was, well, I wasn't pulling it out in March, but by summertime, most definitely. And this went on, right? So anyway, I did all that. And then, of course, they wanted the foundation stuff too, right? So here's another one. This one was May. Here's another one. Here's March. Okay. So first it was March 3rd. And then they sent me the letter again on March 23rd. It's again, same letter, right? Second submission on April 13th, 2010. So I submitted something because this is a photocopy of something. The original is somewhere else. Okay? So, and then of course I provided my bank statement, I guess, for that, or something. It was much more involved because I actually have to go in with all my, what is it called? Bank statements. For myself, for a year, or whatever it was they wanted, and the foundation and all their trust accounts. And then this one came in May, right? BC Employment and Assistance assists British Columbians in achieving their potential by moving people from income assistance to employment and providing assistance to those in need. Okay? Is an income and assistance test program. So a BCEA. I don't know what this one was. This one was something else. Right? Because, and then I had another one in 15. Do you see? So yeah, I had the family maintenance. Here it is. I had the family maintenance. Oh, wait, we got to go back to this one. Okay. The big one. Okay, I wrote it down as the big one. March 23rd. They contacted me on March, 3rd or whatever, and by March 23rd, it was the big one. And that was like with the what do you call it? With the foundation bank statements for a year each, and just the whole 9 yards, right? And I had to go into the office, and oh my God, people, I don't know. So they got me in 2010 for whatever reason. Tried to say it was random. Okay. And it was very, very, very time consuming because they required so much information. Right. And then, what else we got here? Hold on a minute. Okay. Anyway, I'm going through this, right? Anyway, they contacted me on March 3rd of 2010. This was after I moved into this house, okay? And they wanted all this information because they were doing this random audit, and I just happened to be picked. And then, on March 8th, 2010, right? You can see that. March 3rd, 2010, right? Here it says, "Dear Judy, we are pleased to inform you that you have been approved for the persons with persistent multiple barriers category." Sorry, wandering eye. Starting on April 1st, you will be eligible for, you listening? An earning exemption of $500, I'm trying to pull back, per month per family unit on any work income. Dental coverage of $1,000 every 2 calendar years. Apparently, right now, I'm at only under an emergency situation. Additional health supplements such as medical supplies and services, and the 2-year limit for receiving income assistance does not apply while you are receiving assistance in this category. Health coverage for your children, including $700 yearly for dental, will continue. Your approval for this category will be reviewed within 2 years. And every 2 years, I have to re-sign up. And then I have these workers, if I have to phone or they phone me or whatever is going on, right? And they say, well, why aren't you on long-term disability? And I'm like, well, I put an application in one time and it was denied. So, what you going to do? So, anyway, you can see there, March 3rd, 2010, they're auditing me out of the blue. Okay, now you have to remember, people, I didn't go on to welfare until January of 2009. It was after I left Gateway Place, they cut me off of my rental subsidy because I didn't have enough income. Which, if you were to look at Uncle John's lawsuit, you'd understand what I was talking about because the numbers are all listed. Because poverty is oftentimes manufactured. So, I didn't have no income. And because I didn't have no income, I didn't even qualify for the rental subsidy anymore. So they just cut me off of rental subsidy and told me to go to welfare. So I signed up in because I was, and I have my original, what is it called? Bank statement from 2003 to show that it was just cut off. Boom, just stopped. And I was off of welfare for 6 years, people. Did what I did. And then I was told about a rental subsidy because the BC Liberal government came in with a rental subsidy. And through that rental subsidy, I was on that for a year and a half or whatever it was. So I'd get like $400 or something per month to help pay rent. But because I didn't have no income, they couldn't keep me on that one anymore. There was a threshold you had to be at, and I was below the threshold. So then they forwarded me to social assistance. So I was on social assistance for a year after I had been illegally kicked off it for 6 years. And now they're auditing me all of a sudden. And then in the next breath, not even like 5 days later, they're telling me I'm approved for, persons with multiple barriers, right? In terms of my issues. And then by the 13th, right, same department. Well, similar department. Is it the same department? I don't know. After a while, it all starts to look the same. Employment and Assistance Act. They have 2 different kinds here. Under Section 10. You see that? 2 different kinds. Where am I? Here we go. Under Section 10 of the Employment and Assistance Act and the Employment and Assistance for Persons with Disabilities Act, information may be requested from a person for the purpose of. So, they would have had my application. Where am I? They would have had my application already reviewed as they were sending this out to me. I just noticed that. So anyway. Okay. So then it goes. There's the March 20. The March 20. Jeez. Where is it? There's a March one here. March 23rd. Right here. Right. March 23rd. They sent out the same letter again, wanting the same stuff, even though I had been approved by that point. But you see, it wasn't to begin until April. Where am I? It wasn't to begin until April 1st. So that's why that was allowed to go through. Right? And then, and what this was, this one here, okay, we got that, we already read that one. Okay, so here we go, let's read it. Why not? I can't read it and hold the camera at the same time. That's Amari laughing. Okay, so May 13th, 2010. BC Employment Assistance assists British Columbians in achieving their potential by moving people from income assistance to employment and providing assistance to those in need. BCEA is an income and asset tested program. You are required. Oh, now they're getting firm with me. For whatever reason. You are required to accurately report your circumstances and to declare any changes on your monthly report form. An overpayment may occur if you receive assistance for which you are not eligible. So I think this was Family Enforcement Maintenance Program. Let's continue reading. A review of your receipt of assistance between 2009 February. Now remember, people, I didn't sign on to actual social assistance itself until about January of 2009, because I moved out of Gateway Place in December, and I was getting rental subsidy in the amount of, I'd have to go into my bank statements to really figure it out, but maybe we'll say $436 a month, right? And because I was under the threshold of their program in terms of poverty, I didn't qualify. So they sent me to welfare. And by February of 2009, they started auditing me 1 month after I signed on to welfare from one of their other programs that they kicked me off of because I was so damn poor. Anyway, between 2009 February and 2010 March has been conducted. The ministry obtained and reviewed information and or documentation relating to your son's employment income that suggests. The ministry obtained. So they went somewhere and got it. They didn't say you provided the information. They're saying that the ministry obtained, reviewed the information and or documentation relating to your son's employment income that suggests that you may have been paid assistance in the amount of $704.31 between 2009 September and 2009 November, for which you were not eligible. Let me tell you something, people. In those days, if your kid was in school full-time, which Marcane was, because he was just one of those kind of geeky kids, like Shimei, they like school, right? And they were working, there was no deductions. So, I mean, I can't prove that now, and that's one of those, sometimes you have to let the, you can't win every battle, right? If you're looking to win a war. So in this case, this would be a little battle, because in order for me to backtrack and pull up everything that's related to this particular piece of paper, just to say, I remember my son was in school, even he says he was. You guys went against your legislation and you broke the law under this section, under this section, under this section, and then that act. Okay? So anyway, so be it. They changed their mind. That wasn't unusual for the BC Liberal government. That's what they like to do. Nobody knew what they were doing for 10 fucking years, people under that government. Honest to God. Except for maybe the shysters. The shysters knew what they were doing. But the people themselves, right? No way. The rules were always changing to their benefit at the fly, right? A government that changes the rules on the drop of a pin. Oh my God, this isn't working. Hold on a minute. I'm going to read this. Show you a couple more things. Only it's hard to read. Okay, I'm just going to read it. So where are we? I can scan it. I don't know. Okay. Relating to your son's employment income that suggests that you may have been paid assistance in the amount of $704.31 between 2009 September and 2009 November, for which you were not eligible. The enclosed over-payment chart sets out the amount of assistance the ministry believes you received, for which you were not eligible. So they're not saying that they know it, they just believe it. We have set up an appointment on 2010 May 25th at 9 p.m. at blah blah blah. I told you I had to go see this woman to discuss this overpayment. I had to go twice. I had to go discuss it with her. Then she told me she wanted all the bank statements for the foundation for 12 months each trust account. And I had something like, oh my God, people, in 2010, I had like, we'll just say 15 bank trust accounts. Still have 15. I get 12 bank statements from HSBC Bank every month, people, and Uncle John's signature is still on that bank, and everything's on fucking lockdown due to CIBC Bank and that domino effect. If you have additional information regarding your son's income, please bring these documents to the appointment. Yeah, the big one. The big one. It was in March. Hold on. March 23rd. Where's that letter? I'm still reading May's. This is May's now. This is a new one. Maybe this was the small one. Because I had family allowance, and then I had the big one. I had everything. So, this is family allowance. No, this is my son. Not family allowance, Family Enforcement Maintenance Program. Yeah, what is this? Okay. So this is May 13th, and this one's May... Okay, here we go. We're going down memory lane here, right? Okay, do you see? And do you see this one? Where is it? Right there. Do you see this one? Where's that one? That's May 19th. So we've got May 13th, and we've got May 19th. Right? So how do they fit together? If you have additional information regarding your son's income, please bring these documents to the appointment. You are welcome to have another person at the appointment with you. If this is not a good time for you, please call our office at the number below and we will set up a new time. If you do not attend the meeting or call this office to reschedule, the ministry will conclude its review and make a decision about an overpayment without your input. A determination that you have been overpaid may result in a monthly deduction from your future assistance check until the overpayment amount is repaid. The minimum monthly deduction is $10. You will be advised of any decision in writing, and you may request a consideration of the decision. In other words, you can appeal, right? And then she provided me the legislated acts that gave them the privilege to do that. That's what that is. And then on May 19th of 2010, so 6 days later, they wrote me again. Same office, because the addresses are the same on the bottom. The Ministry of Housing and Social Development. Now that is a completely different ministry from the BC Employment and Assistance, BCEA. Okay, completely different department. To the Ministry of Housing and Social Development, conducts the Okay, hold on. The Ministry of Housing and Social Development conducts file reviews for the purpose of determining current or auditory past eligibility for assistance. Now, remember, I was approved with persons with multiple barriers on April 1st of 2010, and now we're on May 19th. So it's a month and a half later, they're sending me this letter now. Okay? Maybe this is the big one. A review of your assistance between 2009 February and 2010 May. So the first one was between 2009 February and 2010 March. This one goes on to 2009 February to 2010 May, has been completed. So whatever I did, I guess I did it. The ministry obtained and reviewed the documentation related to son's income. As a result, the ministry has determined that you received assistance for which you were not eligible. An overpayment in the amount of $704.11 has been recorded on your file because they went somewhere else, obtained probably my son's, maybe he did his taxes, right? Because my older son was trying to teach him how to be responsible. So what happened was my older son got my younger son some work to keep him busy, right? And, I had no income. So Marcane actually helped me out a little bit, but this was before they cut me off of the rental assistance. So I was on the rental assistance, right, living in this apartment, getting ready to move out. And as I moved into the fourplex that had the hydro problem, right? That's in January. That's when they cut me off of the rental assistance and told me to go to welfare. And by March, they started auditing me, even though they know I was in poverty. And at that time, my son was still in school, like high school. 2010, probably high school. He would have been in high school. And because he was in high school, because he was in high school. Anyway, I'd have to really go and dig everything up. I'd have to look into the ministry files in order to correlate it with that legislation. Right? Just like I can prove that they cut me off illegally under legislation in 2003 that hadn't even come into effect yet. And even if it was 9 months after they decided to bring it in, legally they couldn't have done no more than deduct $100 a month off my check versus cutting me off completely. I can prove that. Right? And if the government lawyer wants to go and look into that ministry file, right? What are they going to say? I had a social worker come in here one time when this video is too long. When I had to do the home assessment for Andre before he came home, right? You have to do this packet of multiple questions. And as I was talking with this woman, because she was actually helping me because I was so swamped with things around here. When I was burning out with all this writing, and So anyway, she assisted that with me, right? In terms of we'd talk and she'd write and then proofread and I'd agree or we'd change or whatever it was, and and through those conversations, I let her know I was cut off of welfare illegally, and then she tried to be subliminal, to say, "Oh no, no, you didn't get cut off. You went off. You just decided to go off of welfare for 6 years." Not so cheery. She didn't say it so cheery, but she tried to imply that it was a decision that I had made for myself, and I'm like, no, no. I'd like to see what's in my file to justify what they did in 2003, people. Like, serious, but, I mean, like, who wants to go looking for a needle in a haystack, especially if they're falsifying files? And that can be easily proven by looking at Shimei's medical files. Right? The hospital is not a single entity that falsifies files. CIBC Bank falsifies files, right? That's why there's a lawsuit against them, people. Because they falsify files. So anyway, okay, so $20 a month. It's been paid off a long time ago. So that problem was dealt with. And then in May of 2010, right? Okay, where are we? Okay, so an overpayment was calculated. The Employment and Assistance Act, Section 27 and 28 states that if assistance is provided to a person who is not eligible for it. So I just got on welfare, people. I'd been off of welfare for 6 years. They kicked me off illegally. I can prove that. And now they're telling me that I owe them money because my son was being responsible and working while going to school. As at one point, when they cut me off of the, what is it called? Rental assistance, it's not like you can go to the welfare office and get a check the next day. It doesn't work like that, right? You have to go and make application and blah, 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 right? So, halfway through January, by the end of January of 2009, I'm having fucking panic attacks because I don't even have a rental subsidy. At least I had the rental subsidy, right? But they just cut me off. Like they cut me off welfare. The amount of the assistance is a debt that the person is liable to repay, and that the government may recover the amount owed by making deductions from future assistance or through civil court process. So now they're scaring me. Oh, they're going to take me to court for $704. You are required to accurately and completely report your income, assets, and circumstances when you apply for assistance, and to report any changes to that information. Now you have to remember, I had a house full of people, okay? And Sierra was like in the height of her fucking addiction, right? You don't know what was going on in that place, people. Before I moved into, like, we're talking 2009 here, okay? This is 2009. Up into, at the end. Well, the beginning. No, the beginning. February of 2009. Right? I was living in that fourplex. I was having a lot of problems with Sierra. A lot of problems. And nobody was helping me with her, with them. Nobody. Anyway. You're required to accurately, read that, and when you apply for assistance, and to report any changes to that information. In addition to recovering overpayments, the ministry may impose a sanction, a further reduction in assistance, if an overpayment occurs as a result of incomplete or inaccurate reporting. Did you hear that, people? So, you better be sharp on your academics in terms of being able to read, for one thing, and calculate numbers. And be consistent to write everything down consecutively, month after month after month, as you're being, I don't know, what would you call this? I call it a form of gang stalking, people. It's just another method. That's all. Okay, let me find out where I was. I'm going to read that again. In addition to recovering overpayments, the ministry may impose a sanction, a further reduction in assistance, if an overpayment occurs as a result of incomplete or inaccurate reporting. Well, they've already said I've done it. They've already said they're going to collect their money, right? They've already cited from what sections of legislation where it gives them the right to do this. And now they're just like, I don't know how to explain it right now. If a sanction is applied to your file, you will be advised of this in a separate letter. So I just had gotten onto welfare. Nobody was helping me with my drug-addicted daughter. Joan moved in April or so, April, May of 2009, right? I almost got electrocuted in that house, in that fourplex, because the owners of that property had a grow-op, right? And because I called the city in because of the electrical problems that were going on within the first 3 weeks of me moving in there, right? Because I was getting kind of scared with the shit, especially when I almost got electrocuted because of it. You know, it was nothing but a fucking nightmare. Anyway, if you are dissatisfied with this decision, well, it's not like I really have a choice, people, now do I? You can ask the ministry to reconsider it. You have 20 business days from the day you receive this letter to submit a complete request for reconsideration form. You can get this form and all the information we consider to make this decision from the office located at blah, 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 blah. And enclosed is a reconsideration and an appeal brochure to give you more information. And then I wrote a letter in, where am I? Here we go. You see? June 1st of 2010. This was mailed to me on May 19th of 2010. And this is what I wrote. To whom it may concern, attention, Heather Chapman. She was the lady that I went to go see with all my papers from my personal banks. And in addition to like any trust funds I had with the kids, the whole 9 yards, people, and everything to do with the nonprofit, all the bank statements. They wanted 12 months per trust account, 12 months for all my banking shit. That's why I put it down as the big one, right? In response to the decision regarding the $704.31 overpayment that the Ministry of Housing and Social Development has determined that I owe, I would like to add my response in writing. It should be noted that my son, although not going to school in September of 2009, it was not that he did not want to. Oh, okay. I guess he wasn't working in September of 2009. I mean, going to school. In addition, he could not register for any other educational program, whether it was because he didn't qualify, as he had already graduated from high school. So it must have been a transition period where he graduated from high school and he was going to go into college right away, right? Because he had trust funds, people. Wasn't a lot, but it was enough to get his foot in the door, right? All my kids had little something at one point. And over the years, some of them went off to the wayside because we needed them to live on. And it was pretty apparent that Sierra wasn't going to be going to any college. So when they cut me off of social assistance, obviously I'd cash Sierra's in. And the family, including Uncle John, we lived off of those incomes that were being forcibly closed, technically, by the BC Liberal government because they cut me off of welfare. And then when I went back in 2006 to make another application, they still refused me. But you have to remember, in 2006, people, I was looking after a little girl named Gari for the Ministry of Children and Family Development because her mother was mentally ill and had severe schizophrenia, right? But in order for the little girl to live with the mother, the social worker, Sophie, she knows who she is if she's watching, right? She cut a deal with me and said, look, you look after the little girl and we won't take away Gari, which means you don't have to move, Judy. And I just moved in, people. So I basically looked after Gari for 3.5 years for the Ministry of Children and Family Development without pay. Without pay, people. They never paid me. And at one point, I moved into Sarah's house in 2003. It was in the summertime, right? Or no, it wasn't in the summertime. It was January, February, March. It would have been in April or so. I moved into Sarah's house. And within a month and a half, I was looking after Gari full time. Every day, all day. Okay? As I was dealing with the mother that had schizophrenia. Okay? And this is like moving from a 5-bedroom house that you'd been in for 8 years, get into some leaky apartment for 3 months, and then end up in a shanty shack with a crazy lady and a clingy child, where the ministry says, well, if we take her away, you know, the husband is going to sell the house and kick us out. That's what was going to happen. And Sarah didn't want to lose her child. Right? Sarah was the mother. Sarah wanted to be with her child. And I didn't want to move. That little shanty shack was better than the apartment, trust me. Okay? So anyway, after leaving the shanty shack, went into the apartments, and then from the apartments, we moved into the fourplex with the grow-op in, December 15th on of 2008. So for January 09, I'm sitting up in this fourplex with hydro problems, almost getting electrocuted, being cut off of rental subsidy, right? Being told I have to go on welfare, and then, dealing with hydro being cut off at the pole and just all kinds of crazy shit because I called the city in to do an electrical inspection because I was scared, right? And they weren't telling me the truth. So my son, I'm just trying to get this timeline right. So my son was going to L.A. Matheson, and I guess there was a transitional period in there. Anyway, it wasn't a big thing. What's $704 for an 18-year-old that's in transition? It clearly says here, it should be noted that my son, although not going to school in September of 2009, it was not that he did not want to. In addition, he could not register for any other educational program, whether it was because he didn't qualify, as he had already graduated from high school, or it was because he missed the registration date for post-secondary, because we were in transition of shit. Again, you'd have to really compare the dates if you wanted to take it there, but this is just another battle in the Great War of War Room 1. To use his, okay, I'll just read. Or it was because he missed the registration date for post-secondary, which under the ministry's guidelines, he would have still been expected to use his income that he earned as a household income to myself. Consequently, the family as a whole was experiencing a very difficult time with the landlord at our past residence, the fourplex with the grow-up, and because of that, we even went 11 days without hydro at the end of September to the first week of October. Which means I took the younger children, like Tisha and Shimei, right? And I housed them for like 10 days somewhere else because it was so fucking cold in that place. Alright? And I paid for that. Soon after that, we had to move under distress, and therefore, as a parent, I was simply happy that my son stayed focused to stay out of trouble. I'm writing this to the auditor that audited the big one. I did claim each month a dollar amount I thought he had made. Marcane isn't necessarily very good at keeping his paperwork in order. And if there were any mistakes in interpreting that information, then it was not done intentionally. Obviously, they got me running, right? Because I've committed a crime now. Don't breathe under the BC Liberal government. It's a crime to breathe under the BC Liberal government. Or at least it was. Christy Clark and her AAA credit rating. She's right up there. Right along with Gordon Campbell. It was on October of 2009 that an office frontline worker who informed me that income was going to be deducted from the December social assistance check because my son had graduated from high school. Prior to that, no other person said anything to me, even though I did submit dollar amounts on earnings of dependent children. In conclusion, I find this decision to be unfair by the ministry, but I do not have the resource. See, you know when you're defeated. In conclusion, I find this decision to be unfair by the ministry, but I do not have the resources or energy to dispute this matter, as I am simply grateful that my son has managed to maintain a level of responsibility under difficult circumstances. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, J. Charney, do you see? Now that's just too cute. Okay, so why don't we just leave it on that one for now. I did want to show you this, though, before I go, but now I've lost it. I don't know where it is. Oh, maybe this is it. Yeah, this is it. This is some serious shit, people. I mean, like, who does this? I don't even know. Oh, I need a magnifying glass. I don't have a magnifying glass. I can't see. I can't see. I don't know. I don't know if this bank account number is the same bank. It should be. This bank account number that's on this bank statement, oh, it's the same. This is from 2002, people. December 6th of 2002. So, how can we do this? Oh. Oh, come on. Make it easy on yourself. This is too funny. See? Now, I'm actually glad I'm doing this because this is so important, people. This is so, so important. And I'll tell you why it's important. Okay, for anyone that's listening to my videos and care about Uncle John, okay? When they were kicking me out of my card that I had for eons and was valid, they used one teller to do it. And they were purposely kicking out my card through outside source ATM machines. So in other words, you go to the corner store and you go to use your what is it called? You know, your debit card, and it wouldn't work. So you have to go to the bank. You don't have a choice, right? So, of course, when you go to the bank, what happens? You have to, sign to get a new card. Well, as they were in the process of kicking my card out, which took them several attempts to finally do it, and I've written it down in detail how they've done it, and I have the documents to prove that they did it. Now, if I go and I need to change my card for whatever reason, and I ask them for a photocopy, of the transaction that went between me and the bank in order for me to get a new card, right? They don't sign it anymore. They refuse to put their signature on that piece of paper that they make me sign, but their signatures are no longer on there because they know they've been caught. In terms of, it was one teller through 3 or 4 different transactions over a short period of time as my cards were being kicked out, right, and manipulated to suit an end agenda, which ultimately deactivated my cards so that I couldn't access the information in Uncle John's account anymore, even though I was still signed on as power of attorney and enduring power of attorney. I had 2 power of attorneys, people. I still do. All right? Okay, so here we go. Let's just deal with this. So this is why before I show you this, the more people rely on getting this kind of stuff online, okay, the more they are at risk to having their files falsified, okay, because people are already falsifying files on a mass scale. The banks are doing it, like they did with Uncle John, committing fraud or whatever. And the hospitals are doing it to cover up white criminal activity in terms of illegal organ harvesting and money in a suitcase being passed under the gurney, right? That kind of shit. And here, this document is from December of 2002. Do I have it right? Where am I? Right up in here. You can see that. December. Alright? Here was my last payment. Right here, you can see it. Right? Where am I? Down here. Okay, right there. Right? I had 5 dependent children. My welfare check at that time with 5 dependent children on December. This came in November. This one was in November of 27. November 27th. So this would have been my December check. Right? Was $1,226.35. And then you can see what's going on there. Right, there's Uncle John's signature. We were running low on cash, so you have to kite sometimes, right? And then December 18th, what do we got here? Deposit, Government of Canada. That would have been my family allowance. $877 for my 5 dependent children. Right? And then it says December 18th, deposit, benefits, province of BC. It says $883. So maybe that was my last payment. Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. Where is it? Where's my finger? Up in there, right? And then I got a GST January 3rd for $246. And then January 20th, that's right, $877. Hold on here. So my last check from the province was December 18th for $800. The one on December 13th was family allowance to government, was $877. That's like the baby bonus, right? The federal baby bonus was $877 for 5 dependent kids in 2002. And it looks like the provincial government on December 18th, right before Christmas, gave me $863. And then my next deposit came in January 20th, right here, 2003. Where is it up in here? I don't know if you can see that. When you get up into here, you'll see that. That's federal. That's the federal baby bonus, right? Instant teller deposit, $100. So that was $100. It was a check of some kind, probably. $100. I deposited $100 and I took out $100. And then the next one, so that was, okay, hold on. Ooh, it's just my board. Okay, maybe if I take them off like this, hold on. Right, here we go. So, December, I had, from the provincial government, BC Liberal, $1,226.35. That was my welfare check. They said, you no longer qualify. You're getting cut off of welfare. You either go to work or you're getting cut off. We give you three choices. Picking tomatoes was one of them. Working in a fish factory was another, and there was something else in there. And I said, I can't. I just couldn't, people. So they cut me off, but it looks like they gave me $883 from on December 18th for the month of January. Benefits, yeah. Okay, so it goes December, January was my last payment. I can't see. Right? Then it goes February. Right? Here it's only showing federal. This is the federal one. No more social assistance. And then March. Nothing. That's federal. And another $100 in and $100 out. Well, I had a pre-authorized debit. I had bills, people. I already had credit by that time. And then because I had credit by that time, and I was working on a nonprofit, and I couldn't fight the ministry, I didn't know how to fight, didn't know how to argue, didn't know what to say, right? I was off welfare for 6 years. And then went on welfare, and you've seen what they did to me as I lived in squalor between a rundown apartment that, well, I wouldn't say it was run down, but, you know, rundown apartment that was leaky boat, to living in a shanty shack with a woman that required full-time care right along with her daughter, as you're not getting paid for that, but you're expected to do it, right? Because if you don't, they're going to take the little girl away, and, you know, what's going to happen to the mom, and where you're going to move, and so, you know, count your blessings while you have them, because they come in disguises, you know, at least you got to, you know, it's better than being in the apartment. So I lived there, right? And then they cut me off of the rental assistance when I started going on rental assistance. I was on that for a while, and then because I wasn't at their threshold, I was below their poverty level, then they put me on welfare, and then they turned around and started auditing me. And kept me on my toes that way. Because they did it again in 2015, and this is where we're going to end it. Right? This one here. This is the family enforcement meet. This one. This one. You see? And this has to do with child support. I guess they overpaid me. I don't know. I'd have to read it. It's been so long. Right? What's this? Yeah, same letter. Okay.